Hi everyone, it's Sarah. This is my FlossTube number 20. I'm going to try to remember to say those. I know in the past I'd said I wasn't going to say them, but I really like it when it starts like that. So I'm going to try. It is Monday, January 27th, and I have a lot of stuff to talk about today. I want to talk about 24 hours of cross stitch, magical stitches, whip go, just all the stuff that I worked on this past week, alphabet soup, and semi-sane stitchers. So I'm going to start with what we talked about last week. That I had last week was the 20th, and I had said that I was going to do a new bigger start, being 100 over 100 or so. Only one time a month. I was going to limit myself to 12 of those this year. And so last Monday, after I finished recording, sometime after, I don't remember if it was like immediately or if I did other stuff, but I started in on the peppermint purple Blackwork mystery sale, and I just unzipped that so I could zip it back up. That was smart. This is available on through their Facebook page, and I will link that down below. And thanks to some help, I am caught up. So this is one of the reasons I picked this, is I wanted to do a stitch along, but a lot of the ones I was looking at, they were going to be just a slight bit hard for me to catch up and be able to say that I was stitching along. I was going to be super behind on most of them. So this is something that I was able to do in a week. That's weeks 1 through 4. Week 5 comes out Wednesday morning. So I'll be ready to start on that when that's ready. So that was my new start. One of my new starts. The other one's coming later. Gotta figure out where to put stuff. I used that towards the castle, Cinderella's castle, those stitches, and I want to say it was just below 1,000 once I cut everything in half, because it's all back stitch basically. So if I did 2,000 stitches, then because it's only really like the same as half across, that equals 1,000 stitches. So I want to say it was just under 1,000, like 900 something, that I did on that. So for Cinderella's castle, and I keep zipping these back up. I had them all unzipped, so I wasn't going to have the zipper noise, and then I'm just doing terrible. Homework for magical stitches. That's what this piece was. I'm doing these kind of in the order I worked on them. This is Saguaro National Park. And this was, the homework was to stitch on your most boring project. It says huge blocks of the same color. For my homework, I think it was 400 stitches we had to do. I did 4 rows. These rows were almost 100. So I did 4 rows, and then I just filled in a little down here to reach the 400 stitches. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting further down, because it becomes a little bit more interesting. So that was easily the most boring project. So that was my first piece of homework for this week. Next, I worked on King Valiant's castle. The homework was, let me show you what the finished, I didn't think to do that with the other one, but King Valiant's castle, Clouds Factory. I did it for a man with a beard, or also green skin, because the dragon has green skin. So it worked for both of those prompts. We had to do 300 stitches, and I only worked on, if I remember correctly, I only worked on the dragon. So there's what I did. He's so cute. This is a really cute piece. I really enjoy working on it. Okay. So that is all that I did for the first part of the week. And then we're going to talk about, sorry, I'm having problems putting everything back in the right package here. We're going to talk about 24 hours of cross stitch. This is something done by Jen Lee, Quirks and Stitches. And she also has a Facebook page that I will link below. I want to say this was my 3rd time participating. I think I participated in 2 last year. I've never reached the 24 hours. I always want to reach the 24 hours, but it just, life always happens, and it never happens for me. So this year I did 15 hours. And, or this month, weekend, whatever. It's a quarterly thing now. So I did 15 hours. I did 5 each day. And I got just over 1,500 stitches in. So yeah, that sounds about right. I'm typically, I get about 100 stitches an hour done. So that seems about right. As far as my average goes. Obviously, some things went faster than other things. So we're going to go over what I did. I do have notes here, so that's why I keep looking down. So the first thing I worked on, I wanted to finish up my homework for Magical Stitches. So I worked on, let's see if I can find a picture. Santa's Workshop. This is a Janlin kit. This is my oldest whip. And it is about 20 years old now. And I think some of the threads are starting to show it. Sometimes they're a little bit hard to stitch with. Same thing with the beautiful bird, which I will show you here in a little bit. But I did it for, we had to stitch based on items in the thing and certain letters. So I did, having some hard time. Here we go. M for mouse. S for scissors. There's all kinds of stuff I could have used for any of it. This is chock full of stuff. And then T for thread. And that was 100 stitches each. And I worked on the Northern Lights through the window part. Got some of those really pretty colors in there. So that's 300-ish stitches, maybe slightly over. I will be pulling this back out for extra credit this week because one of the things is something related to a hurricane, and there is a hurricane glass lamp right there. So after talking to Stephanie Kine, who was in the group, we were talking about things that could be used for hurricanes. She was telling me that she's using a reindeer because the night before the night before Christmas, where, you know, the like wild hurricane, they flew, talking about the reindeer. So she was stitching a reindeer, and I started thinking, and I was like, oh, I also thought about a hurricane lamp. But I guess I thought about it after I went through my whips, and it just wasn't occurring to me until afterwards. I was like, oh yeah, I think I have that. So I didn't have to start a new project to get the hurricane thing, and I was really struggling to try to find something anyway that I really wanted to stitch. So I was excited that that's an option. So that'll be something I'll work on this week. The next thing I worked on for 24 hours was the Peppermint Purple Sal. Earlier in the week, I had gotten weeks 1 and 2 done. So for Friday, last thing Friday and early Saturday, I finished up weeks 3 and 4. Beautiful Bird was my next one. This is for the Alphabet Soup. And I'm also using it, I believe, for Cinderella's Castle. I think this is the next thing I put in there for Cinderella's Castle. So I'm keeping count for that. There is what it's going to look like. This is a Dimensions Petite Kit. And I did some more work on the tail. No. I worked over here. I did the border down here and that bit of fill, all half stitches there. Next is my Autumn's in the Air. This is from Magazine. I believe it was a cross stitch crazy. I didn't think to write it down again. I don't know why. And I thought I had a picture of what it was supposed to look like when it's done, but I don't guess I ever printed that out. So anyway, there's a house here. I'm just doing the top panel of it. This is by Faye Walsh, I believe. Little Dove Designs. And what I did for, I'm working on it for the Read It or Stitch It bonus for Magical Stitches. The very first prompt is stitch something that could be in a small town, and it's a girl walking a dog past some like autumn trees, and there's a fox sitting there, and I said, you know, obviously it has to be in a pretty small town for it to be close enough to the fox's habitat for him to feel comfortable, or something along those lines. So I finished up the door, and I did the window panes here. I still have a lot to go to be able to, I think it's 500 stitches I have to do. I only worked on that, I think, for an hour. Next is my other new start. I know I don't have a picture of what this is supposed to look like afterwards, but for extra credit, we needed to stitch on something with the moon. This is a Durene Jones piece, and it's going to be a bat again. You can kind of see there's the beginning of the moon, there's the outline of the bat, and then there's just this purple block. It's really small. It's like 26 by 20. I did half the stitches in it in the time that I worked on this on Saturday night. I think it was Saturday night. May have been Sunday morning. See, it was only yesterday or the day before, and I don't know. I don't even remember. But this is from, they have those kind of features where they have a whole bunch together. This was called Spooktacular, and it was World of Cross Stitch, October 2015. This is one of the patterns that I can access through Readly, one of the magazines. So I'm halfway through with that. I'm hoping to just knock the rest of that out this week, since we've got a really light homework week, and I only have one extra credit left to do. And then to finish off, yeah, it was yesterday morning that I worked on that, because I spent a couple of hours on that in the morning. And then I decided that once I was able to sit down and stitch again last night, I was going to work on my Whip Go projects that were called for January. The first one is Cute Craft Shelf by Fuzzy Fox Designs. This is what that will look like. And then this is where I'm at. To finish up, I did a couple hours. I finished up the basket here, and I did this row of the next shelf down. This is on a piece of Ada that I painted with acrylic paint, and then I thought I would show this to you. It's Delta textile medium. So I just mixed some of this, and I just looked it up online. It probably says one part textile medium with 1 part of paint. I want to work on trying to figure out a way if I can thin it a little bit, because I do have problems with the holes getting filled up a little bit. But I really like the way it looks. I think it gave me a really pretty color for really inexpensive. Here, I'll show again. So it almost has a little bit of an overdyed look. So I'm going to be doing some more experimenting with some of that. And then my last one that I worked on this past week. Sorry about all the background noise here. Trying. Usually I try to take everything out, but I'm working with less space today because we have some other stuff set up on this table that is my husband's that I can't move. So just going to work with it as it is. Next piece is the other Whip Go that was called is Dragon by Valenti Cross Stitch. This is still so much fun to work on. And I found out that the pattern I can put into Pattern Keeper now, so it's hopefully going to go even faster when I sit down and stitch. I worked down my Whip Go. Oh, my Whip Go goal, if I didn't mention, on the Cute Craft Room is a finish for it. And this one, I want to finish this page, so I have that left to do. I love this piece. So that was my 24 hours of cross stitch. Like I said, I did 15 hours out of the 24. I'm always going to set a goal to try to do 24, but I'm going to have to realize that that's just not always going to be a possibility because, like I said, I've always set that as a goal and I have yet to accomplish it. So it's a goal I would like to obtain at some point. Next, I'm going to shake the camera because that's what I do. I did get some new stuff this week. I placed an order with 123 Stitch because I needed some fabric for a couple of my Christmas presents that I still need to start. I ordered 28 count Monaco because both of them I think will look best just on a white background. And I haven't tried Monaco before, so I thought I would try it. I know that there are some huge fans of it, especially for stitching in hand, which is what I do. So I did that, and then of course, because I was ordering something, I had to order more, right? So I got the Prairie Schooler 2016 Santa. I would like to do this on a bigger count. We saw Stitches Incorporated in Memphis has some of the Santas, and maybe even this particular one on like a 7 count or a 10 count. I don't remember for sure, but my husband really liked the look of it. So at some point I'll get the fabric in a bigger count and do that on that. And then I got 2 more Etoile. I got 321 and 666 to finish off. These were the 2 colors that I needed to do one of the DMC freebie charts. So I just went ahead and got those. And then I got a Snag Nabbit because I kind of want to try it. And there are definitely some places in the Blackwork sale specifically that I think it might be beneficial to have something to try to make those stitches a little tighter. So we'll see. I'll let y'all know what I think of it once I try it. I did have another thing and I forgot to grab it, but I'll just share it next week. And then I'm going to talk about a game, Animal Upon Animal. This is a game meant for children. This is by a company called Haba. They're famous for these yellow boxes. If you see a yellow box with Haba in it, it's a game made for children that's usually enjoyable by adults. So it's a great one if you have young kids. I actually bought this for my daughter when she was probably 13 or 14 because she enjoys it. So and the way it works is it's a stacking game. You have a crocodile that sits in the middle of the table, and everybody gets a selection of animals. So here's just a selection of some of them. There's a monkey, toucan, I guess. Lion, no. Yeah, I think that's a lion. Sheep. And they kind of have these kind of interesting, they stack, because the crocodile has these ridges, so they'll stack on it. Sometimes you can get creative with how you stack, like him, kind of sideways. So they're kind of fun to stack like that. And the way it works is everybody starts out with 7 animals, different animals. And you see there's like totally different shapes there. Everybody starts with 7 animals in front of them. And you go around clockwise order and you roll a die to figure out what you're going to do. So rolling a 1 means you're going to take 1 animal of your choice from the stack in front of you and stack it on top of the crocodile or animals on top of the whatever's there. 2, you're going to do the same thing except you're going to use 2 animals. Then there is a crocodile one, and what that means is you would place another animal alongside either front or back of the crocodile, and then that can be used for stacking later on. Or if it's already been rolled once, you can continue out and place animals alongside that way. If you get a hand, that means that you take one of the animals in front of you and you hand it to one of the other players for them to stack. And if you get, there's a little quote bubble with a question mark. There we go. The other players at the table decide which animal from your pile you're going to stack next. I believe there are 2 1 spots and then 1 of each other piece. If you knock down the tower, then if you knock 1 or 2 pieces down, you take them and you put them back in front of your pile. If you knock down more than that, you take 2 pieces and put them in your pile, and the rest go in the box. The last person to run out of animals in front of them wins, and that's the game. It's pretty simple. There are some variations that make it just a slight bit harder, but it's really great because you can talk about different animals. Kids can just stack on their own. They don't necessarily have to play a game. They can try to play against themselves and see how many animals they can fit on their own tower. It's a great game for young kids, and I've seen plenty of adults enjoy it as well. But yeah, these hobby games are really fantastic. I know you can get them from Amazon if you have a hobby game store. A lot of them will carry these games. And it's absolutely, the components are really well made. Nice chunky wooden die, so small hands can work with it pretty easy. So yeah, that is Animal Upon Animal. I'll show you the box cover one more time. I even enjoy playing this from time to time. So yeah, that's my game, and that's my FlossTube for this week. I guess I will see you in a week. I can't believe this is my last FlossTube of January. It's already over. Next week I do plan on doing kind of a January overview. We'll all talk about projects, just kind of a number of projects I worked on, how many stitches I got in, how many days I stitched, because I did not stitch every day. I did have a few that I have not stitched. I'll talk about Stitch from Stash and Whip Go, and talk about my February plans. So that'll be part of my next video. I'll see you then. Hope y'all have a great day. Bye.